And in this video, we take a look at which individuals had access to the locked 5-bar gate at White House Farm. We also take a look at who exactly was running the fishing syndicate during the time Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were murdered.
It was a crime which pushed everything else off the front pages. 3 men, all known criminals, found shot dead in the Essex countryside. It was a cold-blooded, professional killing. The victims had many enemies, but which one wanted them executed?
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. The following police statement is from Stephen Bond, dated the 22nd of January 1996. Around the middle of 1991, I started a fishing syndicate to fish at a lake on land situated at White House Farm, Rettendon Essex. This land was jointly owned by Peter and William Theobald. At the time of starting the syndicate, there was about 25 members. I ran the syndicate for a few years until March or April 95, when I decided to pass the contract over to a current member, Gary King. I did this as I was unhappy with some of the members and I also wanted to move on. The last time I returned to the land was September 95 with my father, however I have not been back to the land since. In early December 1995 I heard of the killing of 3 men in a Range Rover on land at White House Farm. I know the area they were found as it is near the lake, however I have not been there since September. On Monday the 22nd of January 96, police attended my home and I've been asked if I know of the 3 deceased, Tony Tucker, Pat Tate and Craig Rolfe. Although I have never met any of these people, I have heard of them through some friends who did know them. These friends are Del Gainsford and Jeff, who own Reynolds in South Church Road, Southend. I recently spoke with Jeff, who had told me that one of them had purchased jewellery in their shop, but I can't remember the name of who this was. Whilst being in charge of the syndicate, I was often approached by many people who wanted to rent the lake. However, I always wanted to keep the syndicate unique. I was never approached by anyone who showed an interest in the land or lake for anything other than fishing. I wish to add that I've actually been back to the farm about 2 weeks after the murders in order to collect an oar that I had left on the land. I took my vehicle to the scene of the killings by the gate, which I know was the scene from the press coverage. Okay, now this is the first time I believe I've come across a statement from anyone involved in the fishing syndicate. Why that's important is clearly the location of the Range Rover. It's down Workhouse Lane, it's in front of a locked 5-bar gate, and during the court process it was said that around 12 or 13 keys existed to that locked 5-bar gate, and obviously the people who had possession of those were members of the fishing syndicate. What I find most interesting about this statement is the fact that we have a member of this fishing syndicate who has friends that know of these individuals. Let me just read that again. Although I have never met any of these people, I have heard of them through some of my friends who did know them. These friends are Del Gainsford and Jeff, who own Reynolds in South Church Road, Southend. I recently spoke with Jeff, who told me that one of them had purchased jewellery in their shop, but I can't remember the name of who this was. Now, sadly, we do not have any police statements from either Gary King, the man who took over running the syndicate in March or April 1995, nor do we have any police statements from either Del Gainsford or this gentleman who goes by the name of Jeff, who owned the Reynolds shop in South Church Road, Southend. But what I'm quite fascinated about in this statement is this kind of vague link here. Even though this individual is saying, look, I don't know Tucker, Tate and Rolfe, but I do know friends who have heard of them or have seen them. I do find that a little bit bizarre. Now, I've always had this idea that whoever committed this crime most definitely knew of the comings and goings of White House Farm and in particular the shooting club. Now, I say that because I believe that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were killed shortly before 7 p.m. on December the 6th, 1995. On a Wednesday at White House Farm. That was the only day of the week that they ran the shooting club, and that would usually be wrapped up at around 6 p.m. So in my mind, it's someone who has an idea, a local knowledge of that area, particularly of White House Farm, and as I've said, the shooting club and its operations. But could this individual have had some links also with the fishing syndicate? I do find this a little bit bizarre. This guy is saying that I've never been there, I've never been back to the scene since September, yet towards the end of his statement, he says, I wish to add that I've actually been back to the farm about 2 weeks after the murders in order to collect an oar that I had left on the land. I took my vehicle to the scene of the killings by the gate, which I know was the scene from the press coverage. Within the comment section of my videos, this does appear to be quite a hot topic and always has been ever since I've been creating content on this case. The fact that we have this locked 5-bar gate, who had the keys, did the fourth passenger in the Range Rover have a key, did he have some kind of link to this fishing syndicate, did he know someone who would be waiting down the lane to open the gate? So finding this statement is quite intriguing here, particularly the fact, as I said earlier, that this individual knows people who actually know Tucker, Tate and Rolfe, or at least one of those individuals. Also bear in mind that the farmer who discovered the bodies, his brother was also a personal friend at some stage with Tony Tucker. So we also have that link there. Now, in court, the judge, during the summing up process, makes mention of this fishing syndicate and the locked 5-bar gate. It's during the judge's summing up that he states the following. Cross-examined by Mr. Parkins, Mr. Jiggins said that the A130 was a very busy road mornings and evenings. 7 till 9 in the morning, 4:45 until 6:30ish in the evening. He also said that courting couples used the track as a lover's lane. There was a padlock on the gate for 6 to 9 months, replacing one that was lost, and there was a fishing syndicate of about 10 to 15 people who would have had several keys. There was a way to the gate from the other side, but you had to go across fields. Right, so the way that I'm reading that, there was a padlock on the gate for 6 to 9 months, replacing one that was lost. Right, okay, so there was a padlock on there that was different to the one that is found down the bottom of Workhouse Lane where Tucker, Tate and Rolfe are discovered. This padlock was changed 6 to 9 months before the murders. I think that's what it's trying to say there. So does that coincide with this Gary King taking over the fishing syndicate, I wonder? Would that have been right? Let's have a look. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 9 months. Interesting. So what we have here, by the looks of things, is a fishing syndicate which changes management or ownership, whichever you want to call it, around March or April 1995, which just so happens to roughly coincide with when the padlock is changed. We've got a new padlock, I would imagine a new set of keys issued to everybody, and it states there that 10 to 15 people would have had several keys. So we're looking at possibly even more than 12 keys, more than 12 individuals who had access to the locked 5-bar gate. Now, for me personally, I certainly don't believe that there's any direct dealing between the members of the fishing syndicate and the deaths of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. There simply isn't enough information to even make that assumption. But what I'm starting to wonder is, and bearing in mind I've been looking into this case now for a good few years, but every now and then I pick up little bits of information which tell me that these individuals most likely, and I say that word again, most likely knew of Workhouse Lane and White House Farm. Yet we are told that Michael Steele gets in the back of the Range Rover and directs Craig Rolfe to the locked 5-bar gate because these individuals didn't know where they were going. That's the whole reason for the meeting at the halfway house, because Steele has to change vehicles, he's got to get in the Range Rover, he's got to direct Tucker, Tate and Rolfe to their location. But do we at home still believe that that's even a realistic possibility at this point? We have the farmer's brother, William Theobald, who'd known Tucker for many years. He may not have been a close friend of Tucker's at the point in which he was murdered, but even in his police statement, he stated that I'm sure Tucker knew where I lived, i.e. White House Farm. William Theobald was the person who ran the shooting ground at White House Farm. And now we have this talk of a random man, a random guy who runs the fishing syndicate, and he has friends who even know these individuals. I just find that absolutely crazy. We're told that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe were these nobodies. Nobody knew who they were. You know, they were only known in the circles in which they frequented. But we've got people here that fish. Fishermen. Even the fisherman's friend, pardon the pun, knows of these individuals. It's really, really strange. Very, very odd. One thing I can say, and this is obviously just personal opinion, is that Tucker, Tate and Rolfe absolutely knew of Workhouse Lane. They most certainly knew of White House Farm. Anyway, do leave your own thoughts and theories regarding this particular police statement in the comment section below. As always, many thanks for joining me for today's video. Very shortly, you'll be able to see some other videos from the channel, including the Essex Boys playlist, which has all of the videos concerning this case in one convenient folder. I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.